Now at 10 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, authorities want to know if you recognize the suspect vehicle as they investigate a surge in car thefts. And at least 6 people were hurt in a shooting outside a nightclub in Houston. And also in Houston, a woman's body wrapped in plastic was found inside a U-Haul.
Well, it was hot today, but guess what? It's going to be getting hotter, and there's really no relief in sight. We're looking at 100-degree temperatures through about 10 days. So we'll be talking about that and taking a look at the tropics as well coming up.
And the Denver Nuggets bring home its first championship. I'll have that coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Karina Garcia. Don Brubaker has the night off. Area authorities are looking for information on this white SUV. It's a suspect vehicle in a number of car burglaries. Victoria police say thieves are hitting 5 cars a night. They put the vehicles on blocks and take all 4 tires. This white SUV has no front license plate and the rear license plate is difficult to read. Call 361-526-2351 if you can help. And this brings us to your viewer poll tonight. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote right now. The question is, have you had to deal with a vehicle burglary recently? Yes or no? We take a look at these results tonight and 5% say yes, 95% stand at no. Thank you for voting tonight. Visit us tomorrow for our latest viewer poll. Several people were hurt in a shooting outside of a nightclub. It happened early Sunday morning at the Taboo Restaurant and Lounge in Houston. Police say an altercation started inside the club and then continued in the parking lot where someone opened fire into the crowd. At least 6 people were shot. They were taken to various hospitals for treatment. Police aren't sure how many shooters were involved, but so far no arrests have been made. Authorities in Crosby, Texas are investigating a shooting that left 1 person dead and multiple others hurt on Sunday. The Harris County Sheriff's Office responded to reports of a shooting around 4 p.m. Sunday afternoon. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez said 4 to 5 people were shot. Investigators responded to 2 scenes, the original shooting location and another location where one of the victims was found dead. 4 victims were taken to local hospitals for treatment. More details surrounding the shooting are currently developing. Houston police are investigating the death of a woman found inside of a moving truck. After getting an anonymous call about it Friday evening, police went to a storage facility and noticed a foul smell coming from a U-Haul truck. Inside was a body wrapped up in plastic. KPRC reports the body had been inside the truck for several days now. The Harris County Medical Examiner is still working to determine the identity of the woman and the cause of her death. KXAN reports Governor Abbott signed what he calls a, quote, key parent empowerment legislation into law. Now, Abbott's office did not share in advance what this bill includes, but a state lawmaker's tweet provided a clue about one of the proposals that may get the governor's signature. Essentially, House Bill 900 aims to keep sexually explicit material out of school libraries.
Parents also deserve to know what books are in school libraries. Some school libraries have books with sexually explicit and vulgar materials. I'm signing a law that gets that trash out of our schools.
KXAN reports that opponents of this legislation said it amounted to book banning in schools and would target materials with themes about the LGBTQ+ community or people of color. But supporters of the bill argued it's intended to protect children from inappropriate material and give parents a say in what their students are learning in the classroom. And now let's take a look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, we're going to be saying that for a long time. Temperatures right now are 82. That's the cooling of the night. It got up to 96 today, and I wish I could tell you that's the end of the heat wave, but no, it's the beginning. We're looking at temperatures staying at or near 100 for the next 7 to 10 days. So this heat wave is here to stay, and we're going to have to learn how to live with it. Coming up, we'll be taking a look at those next 7 to 10 days. And a look at the tropics as well. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Mac, thank you. Police are looking for a suspect accused of kidnapping a young girl who was later found in Dallas.
Sunday afternoon, Jessica Montanes was at her restaurant, the Excellent Cafe on West Keystone Oak Cliff, when a woman came rushing in saying a little boy was wandering around the parking lot crying.
She came inside the restaurant. She asked for water for him. and she pulled me aside and told me that his sister was missing, that somebody had kidnapped his sister.
Jessica and the other woman called 911 and waited for police while the little boy clutched his water gun in his hand.
He looked scared and nervous, and with us, we tried to come closer to him. He was like on shock on what had happened.
Jessica says the little boy told them he and his 7-year-old sister were walking to a 7-Eleven near this apartment complex on Argentia Drive where they live. It's about a mile from where he was found. The little boy told them a man in this vehicle approached them.
Asked him if they needed a ride, so that they got on the car.
Jessica says the man took them to this Family Dollar store and asked the little boy to get out of the car.
The man was going to buy the little girl clothes. That's what he told the little boy. And the little girl wanted to leave the car, but he told her, no, you stay in the car.
That's when police say the man took off with the little girl.
When the 9-year-old child gets out of the vehicle, goes up to the door of the store, it's not open, turns back around and sees the suspect take off with the girl in the car.
An Amber Alert was issued. Police say nearly 12 hours later, around midnight, the little girl was found back at the apartment complex on Argentia Drive, wandering around. We spoke with a witness who found her but didn't want to go on camera. She did tell us the little girl was calm and just wanted to be taken to her mother. Police released a grainy photo of the vehicle taken from a surveillance camera. They are asking the public to take a really good look. And if you have any information, call the Dallas Police Department. In Dallas, I'm Rebecca Lopez.
The State Department has confirmed the arrest of American citizen Travis Leak in Russia. Leak is a former songwriter and musician in Russia in a Russian rock band. U.S. Embassy leaders attended Leak's arraignment Saturday. The same day, Russian leaders said he was detained on drug charges. A statement from the court described Leak as a former musician and accused him of, quote, engaging in the narcotics business, unquote.
We've been seeking to learn more about the apparent detention of Travis Leak, and we are working to be not only in touch with him and to have consular access, but also with his family. My number one priority as Secretary of State is the safety and security of Americans abroad, and this is no exception. So we're working to gather information to understand exactly what happened, and of course we will be very focused on this.
Moscow leaders confirmed Leak was in court Saturday and said he will remain in custody until August 6th. As the community begins to celebrate Juneteenth, 25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick visited the Chisholm Trail Heritage Museum for a special exhibit.
The untold story of black cowboys, enslaved and free, is right behind these doors. So let's check it out. The Chisholm Trail Heritage Museum brought this exhibit from San Antonio to display some unrevealed pieces of history. Patricia Miller says the exhibit had to come to Cuero because the impact of black cowboys to the Crossroads area is important.
We just felt like we had them right here, black families who had put their whole lives into ranching and cowboying and helping so many people and enjoying it. And we said, let's celebrate that.
According to Merriam-Webster, a cowboy is one who tends to cattle or horses. As you can imagine, cowboys played an important role in Texas history. Also Crossroads history with cowboys like Mr. Bowtie Brown, Mr. Charles Glover, E.W. Strait, Myron Charleston. They were all cowboys right here from our area and played a pivotal part in our agriculture. Without these cowboys, Texas would not be the agricultural superpower it is today. The community benefited from the black cowboys' experiences, so I asked Miller about the community response.
We're really encouraging them to continue to be members and to do things with us and to really bring the black community into the museum.
The exhibit goes into deep detail about who the black cowboys were and how they changed Texas and the U.S.
And they became the cowboys that later they had their own way of working on ranches, you know, as free men. But the black cowboy was very essential to this part of Texas.
Now, these stories are no longer some secret. Black history is American history. Reporting in Cuero, I'm Adarius McCormick, KAVU-TV, 25 News Now.
That time on, my name was Hector Bailey.
Darius, thank you. Now moving forward, the Bishop of Fort Worth Catholic Diocese addressed the ongoing controversy regarding a lawsuit against him following reports of a nun allegedly breaking her vows with a priest outside the diocese. The controversy started when the diocese said a nun in the monastery admitted to breaking her vow of chastity. Since that time, the nun claims the diocese has abused its power and invaded their privacy. The diocese also released pictures claiming drug use at the monastery. Bishop Michael Olson addressed those pictures in a message he posted Sunday.
This evidence and information was immediately reported and turned over by the Diocese of Fort Worth to the Arlington Police Department, which is responsible for investigating such matters in that jurisdiction. Claims that the Diocese of Fort Worth or I, as its bishop, planted these drugs are false and baseless.
The bishop says much of this is a church matter, and he's calling on the faithful for prayers on the situation that's causing him so much pain. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit that like button and click on that notification bell. For now, stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, the funeral service for A.J. Owens, who was shot and killed by a neighbor, was held today. Also ahead, at least 13 people were shot, stabbed, or hit by cars in a large gathering in Syracuse. It was an emotional day in Florida where mourners gathered to remember A.J. Owens, who was shot by her neighbor. Owens was remembered for what Reverend Al Sharpton called her courage and selflessness and her willingness to stand up for her children. The mother of four was shot through a door when she confronted a neighbor who Owens believed hit one of her children with a roller skate.
Confused when you have state officials that could stand up for some that are indicted for espionage, but can't stand up for a mother that's just standing up for her 4 children.
The neighbor was charged with manslaughter, but Owens' family wants the charge upgraded to murder. 13 people were either shot, stabbed, or hit by a car after violence broke out early Sunday morning in Syracuse, New York. Police say it happened during a so-called pop-up party publicized on social media.
Syracuse police say officers responded to a shots-fired complaint on Messina Street, triggered by the ShotSpotter system at 12:22 a.m. Sunday morning. Upon arrival, they discovered a scene of around 200 people gathered for some sort of block party promoted on social media.
Upon arrival, they discovered a tremendously chaotic situation. 200 or so people in the street, people fleeing in all directions, both on foot and in cars. They found a dozen. I believe 13 is the actual number of victims, gunshot victims, stabbing victims, and also victims that had been hit by those vehicles that were fleeing the scenes.
Chief Cecil says that this is not the first time a party like this has happened in the city. Rather, every weekend in various parts of the city, there are, quote, pop-up parties typically advertised on social media. And the chief admits that sometimes police find out about them and other times they don't.
Our understanding of this one, and it's very early information, that it was a bunch of high school students who had just graduated and also some older individuals who had come back from college that were meeting here on this block.
The ages of all 13 victims who were either shot, stabbed, or hit by a car range from 17 to 25 years old. Surveillance footage in the area is being reviewed by officers, but Chief Cecil says that this case could be quite long-term.
With as many victims as we have here, we probably also have quite a few suspects. So it's going to be I think it's going to be down the road before this is released.
Now, police did not say whether any arrests were made or if any suspects were identified, as this investigation is currently ongoing. Crews this morning demolished the remains of a 6-story apartment building in Iowa that partially collapsed more than 2 weeks ago. 3 people were killed and several were left homeless. Workers used a large excavator to dismantle the 116-year-old brick, steel, and concrete structure. Leaders said this process could take several weeks. Meanwhile, the building's owner, Andrew Wold, through his attorney, pleaded guilty to civil infraction for not maintaining safe conditions.
I know it's going to be a lengthy process, but we're looking for the truth that's going to come out of it.
Wold was ordered to pay the $300 fine and $95 in court cost. He was also ordered to refrain from any violations of Davenport, Iowa code provisions. A small group of protesters gathered outside the courthouse. Many say they want him to be held responsible for this tragedy. Cleanup is underway in parts of eastern Tennessee after a tornado touched down on Sunday. The National Weather Service confirmed an EF1 tornado with 95-mile-an-hour winds touched down in the Cumberland County. The twister cut a path that was nearly 2 miles long and 50 yards wide. No one was hurt. However, the storm knocked down trees and power lines, pulled roofs off homes and buildings, and caused other damage across the area.
Well, folks, we are looking at a streak of, and I'm talking 10 days of 100-degree temperatures. Today we got up into the upper 90s. We had some cloud cover that slowly drifted in, but that's not going to help us much. We'll be talking about that and taking a look at the tropics coming up in a moment. You know, folks, we update the weather as often as necessary. We don't like changing it too much because it gets confusing, but we do have to update it. And every afternoon and every evening, we get the long-range computer runs that come in, and we take a look at that, and we try and adjust the forecast as we go. It's not a good day. It's not a good day. I had to upgrade many of the temperatures for the next 7 to 2 weeks. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Late this afternoon, a big storm popped up right out of San Angelo. Just surprised everybody, but that's because of the intense heating going on with all that sunshine coming down and causing the warm air to rise. That's the only one. Actually, that cloud cover actually did come into our area, sort of knocked the temperature down just a tad, but it was 96 this afternoon. Now, once again, I want to distinguish heat exhaustion, faint or dizzy, excessive sweating, or cool and pale, clammy skin, rapid or weak pulse, muscle cramps. That's heat exhaustion. That's when you're tired and you got to cool down. However, heat stroke is a whole different thing. Throbbing headaches, no sweating, red or hot dry skin, and rapid pulse, and you may lose consciousness in that. So that's a whole different problem from here. Here you got to cool down. Here you got to go to the hospital. And that's important because the question is, how warm is the internal part of your body getting? It's like this. If you get a fever and you got 106, you got a problem. You got to go to the doctor. If your body gets 106 because you're overdoing it, then you've got another problem there too. So high pressure is built over us, and how do I say this? The long-term models, the GFS, is now saying it's going to be sitting here for about 2 weeks. So these temperatures are not going to go away. You'd think, okay, it's going to cool down soon. Nope. As a matter of fact, I had to change these numbers to 100 degrees all the way across as the high temperature. Now you factor in the humidity, and of course it gets worse, and it affects your body differently. And so for everybody working outdoors, it's important, because by the time we get to Wednesday, we're going to be at oppressive heat. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday are in that category. So we're stuck in low gear, and we're going to have to deal with it. So we want you to just take it easy in the heat. In the tropics, the southeasterly trade winds, the wind that brought Columbus from the old world to the new world, have picked up. They are now well established. They're a little bit south, but they are well established, and these are the winds that direct the storms, or the tropical storms. But I want you to see that within 7 days, now this is out there as far as we can go, I want you to see that 2 areas are going to develop cyclonic circulation. This one will likely be a storm, but it's in the Pacific, no problem. This one looks like it wants to organize as a storm, and it'll be interacting with the land. So where it goes 7 days from now, it's going to be a big factor, because it could keep going, it could get into the Gulf, and so my job is to watch it and making sure it doesn't get away from us. All right, tomorrow only 80 degrees in the morning in Lavaca, getting up to about 91, and then tomorrow in Cuero, it's getting up to about 97, okay? Yes, we're going to be at or near 100 degrees for the next 7 days, maybe longer. We're going to have to figure out a way to just make sure everybody stays cool. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. If you scan this and put it in your phone, you can have Crossroads Today and all the bulletins necessary that you need to know. That is it from the weather front. Now let's talk about the Joker.
That's right. Well, we'll talk about him in just a moment, but you want to talk about the Joker right now? Well, the Joker has won his first NBA title. I'll have that coming up in sports. All right, this is a story Mac has been waiting on. For the first time ever, it has finally happened. The Denver Nuggets have won the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Jimmy Butler played hero ball down the stretch in the fourth, 13 points in a row, just not quite enough. His desperation three at the end, no good, and it's a party in Denver for the first time in 47 years. Nikola Jokic is your finals MVP, who, after the game, says, job is done. We can go home now. The Victoria Generals hit the diamond this past weekend for a great cause. This past weekend, they donned their Warriors weekend jerseys, which were auctioned off afterwards, with 100% of the proceeds going towards Warriors weekend. The community and Generals helped raise over $15,000. And in 10 seasons, the Generals have helped raise more than $330,000 for local charities through their jersey auctions. And not only did they do fantastic work off the field, they got a huge win to snap its losing streak. Scoreless through 9 innings. The Generals scored once in the 10th. Final score 1-0. The Texas Rangers blew a lead in extras, and the Angels, took a 4-run lead and put the Rangers away. But there's another storyline surrounding Texas. Out of 30 MLB teams, 29 of them hosting a Pride Night. The one that isn't, the Texas Rangers. The White Sox will celebrate when they play Texas, passing out T-shirts. The Rays will also have theirs against Texas. Cleveland just had theirs against Houston with a fireworks show. So here's your viewer poll. Do you think the Texas Rangers should host a Pride Night? Yes or no? This was a pretty popular viewer poll amongst you guys. A lot of you voted, and today 86% of you say no, 14% say yes. Thank everyone for voting. And as for the Astros, their Pride Night is June 20th against the Mets. But they don't want to look that far ahead because these guys cannot buy a win right now, having lost 5 of their last 6 games and sitting 5 games behind the Rangers for first. They return home tomorrow against the Washington Nationals. Decisive game 3 between the Longhorns and the Stanford Cardinals. A long 2-run shot is going to get the scoring started in the second. They would score 3 runs in the inning. In the fourth, Texas looking for some magic. Bases loaded, a huge 2-out double is going to bring everyone home, and we are tied. But in the bottom of the inning, Stanford got all 3 runs right back, and later on, Texas tied it at 6 in the 9th. Stanford wins 7-6 on a lazy fly ball that got lost in the lights. The Houston Texans have made a huge announcement today. J.J. Watt saying, quote, H-Town, I'm coming home. No, he's not playing anymore, but they will induct the future Hall of Famer into their Ring of Honor, joining Andre Johnson. And to make it more special, it will be October 1st against Pittsburgh, who, of course, younger brother T.J. Watt plays for. Many of you may know this, but he made a huge impact on the food bank of the Golden Crescent with his Harvey Relief Fund, donating nearly $1 million. Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Zach. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. We'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, H&M at the Allen Premium Outlets reopened today, more than a month after the fatal mass shooting. H&M at the Allen Premium Outlets will reopen today, more than a month after the deadly mass shooting outside the store. 8 people were killed and 7 more were hurt and are currently recovering. Several other stores of the mall reopened at the end of May. The owner of the outdoor shopping mall allowed store owners to decide when it would be most appropriate for each shop to resume normal operations. Delta says an emergency slide accidentally deployed while a plane was on the ground at Salt Lake International Airport Saturday. It says the Boeing 767 was going from New York to Los Angeles when an unrelated maintenance issue caused a diversion. A crew member is out of the hospital after what the airline calls a precautionary evaluation. Delta says it flew the 168 affected passengers to LA on a different plane that same evening. Alrighty, and Mac, we're expecting a really hot week.
Yeah, really bad stuff, folks. I don't have any good news because I just looked at the extended outlook, and it's going to be about 2 weeks of this blazing heat. High temperatures tomorrow should get up to about 98 after 96 today, and we'll be hovering at 100 degrees for at least 7 to 10 days, folks. So we'll have to figure out how to deal with this, but this is going to be one summer for the record books.
Alrighty, Mac, thank you. Now, finally, a kitten was trapped on the side of a busy highway between a concrete barrier and a fast-moving traffic in Las Vegas. Nevada State Trooper Estrada responded to calls from concerned motorists, but initially the kitten wasn't interested in being rescued. It ran away from Estrada, who was able to chase the kitten and scoop it up. Police named the kitten Trooper Kitty and helped him find a forever home. That's cute.
We would have made that pet of the week if it was here.
Yeah,
I think so. That could have been.
How do you catch that? How do you see that little kitten on the side of the road?
I don't know. And in the middle of a freeway?
In the middle of a freeway.
Well, thank you to the trooper there. He took care of him.
You know, I actually rescued my kitten from a dumpster.
Oh.
Yeah, he was this tiny.
The one you have
Did you jump in and get it?
No. Well, actually, I'm not going to lie. I actually had to reach in through the grubble because there was a little meow. Picked him up. He was covered in fleas, and I took it home.
Well, it was worth it. Those are the ones that deserve the home the most.
There's ones that don't.
Well, no, but I mean, you'd rather rescue than, you know. She's trying to make me look bad on live TV. She's trying to make me
and
look
he's
terrible.
happily ever after in your home now.
He does. He's happily ever
He
after.
doesn't like me very much, but.
His name is Drax the Destroyer, so he's pretty tough now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very.
Well, thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today, and don't forget, join Carolina Astudillo and meteorologist Trey Mining for 25 News Now Sunrise, starting at 5 a.m. Good night, everybody.